welcome to Seeing Through Glass, and welcome to Geneva. If you haven't been following my recent videos, I'm currently on a bit of a sort of European adventure in my Ferrari 360. It all kicked off when I headed down to Ferrari's Finale Mondiale in Italy, and most recently I had to go in two very rare but quite exceptional modern classic Lamborghinis. Well, today the modern classic vibe continues. In fact, actually, this trip's just turning out to be a bit of a sort of modern classic special, because yes, I'm on my way to check out a car which is really on my sort of bucket list, or has been on my bucket list ever since it launched. The iconic Alfa Romeo 8C. I know this won't surprise many of you, but this is one of those I love my job kind of days. As I mentioned, I've wanted to experience and drive one of these cars ever since the concept launched way back in 2003. So I have to say a huge thanks to Drive Vintage for giving me this opportunity. You may remember I visited Drive Vintage a few years ago and drove a Lancia 037 with them. That was a cool experience. I think this one might supersede it. Oh my god, listen to this car. Let me pull over and explain to you just why I think this Alfa 8C is one of the most beautiful and special cars ever made. I don't think there are many places in the world where the scenery can rival the looks of this car. I mean, Switzerland, you're outrageous! As is the support car today, because yes, Drive Vintage here, supporting my experience in an Alfa SC. I know lots of you will be going nuts for that. It is very cool, but I want to focus on this thing because, oh my god, this is just like an amalgamation of all my favourite things about the world, but also about cars and Italian cars. So yes, let's just get into the most important part of this car, and it is the looks. I think this could be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life, not just as a car, as a piece of art. Park this car anywhere and you're like, oh my god. I mean, worrying things happen inside my pants. Too much information, I know, but I'm just trying to make it clear how much I love the looks of this thing. Now, I sort of hinted at it a second ago in the car. It sort of started its life as a concept, I think way back, I think it was 2003, where the Alfa design team were basically trying to show off, like, you know, if we were let loose, if we could do whatever we want to do, look what we could create. Just 500 cars made worldwide. They did do a Spider version as well, but for me, it's all about this coupe. Now, being part of the Fiat group and the fact that Alfa haven't always had a huge amount of money to spend on developing new cars, there are some sort of borrowed parts and components from the sort of Fiat family. I would say most impressively, or most importantly, Ferrari, because this car is powered by a 4.7 litre naturally aspirated V8, which we did eventually see in a lot of the Maserati Gran Turismos and in the Ferrari California, but when it launched in this car, it was fairly special, and as we've just kind of found out, it sounds amazing. It's around 450 horsepower, which back at the end of the late sort of noughties, that was an impressive figure. Nowadays it sounds small, but no, it's the right amount of power. The gearbox basically came out of the 599. It is a single clutch automatic flappy pedal gearbox, but at the time it was one of the quickest and one of the best. Obviously, you know, we've moved on and we now know that sort of last of the single clutch flappy pedals is pretty slow, a little bit cumbersome, but you just drive around it, you figure it out. Loads of carbon fibre body panels, not all carbon fibre, but loads of carbon fibre. It didn't make the car that light. We're still talking around 1,500 kilos, but it just meant that, sculptured, it was absolutely stunning. The crazy thing is it wasn't that expensive back in the day. I think the original price was like 130,000 euros, which would have been about 110,000 pounds at the time. But because of their rarity, they've become insane collector's items. In the UK, you can expect to spend about 300 grand on an 8C coupe. In Europe, probably more like 250. But I mean, it's double the money that it was when it launched over 10 years ago. So yeah, it's really a sought after car for collectors. But yeah, for me, it is all about the way this car looks, because I have heard over the years, as I've been sort of desperate to have a go in this thing, they're not that good to drive. I don't think I'm going to care, because it's just so special, it's so rare, and I've been waiting for this experience for so long. But there is a chance it could be a bit of a disappointment. So to find out, we're going to put it through the ultimate seen-through glass test and take it to get a coffee. Because after all, it is a GT car. So yes, we're going to jump back inside this stunning creation, head down this quite incredible, we're going to call it a mountain, I don't know, those are definitely mountains, follow the SZ and go and find ourselves a coffee in an Alfa 8C. As I say, today, I love my job! What was that? What? The exhaust gargles! I'm in love. I'm absolutely besotted. I don't really understand why people say this car's not very good to drive. I mean, I guess if you compare it with its rivals, potentially it's a little slow or a little sort of wafty, but who cares? Cars are so much more than that. Oh my God, this scenery is outrageous. Like, what the heck? We're above the clouds. Oh, this is good. This is very good. But yeah, this car, it's all emotion. It's all emotion, as I think really Alfas should be. This, for me, is peak modern Alfa. I don't think we'll ever see anything like this again from Alfa Romeo. Maybe some of you will go, but what about the modern GTA and GTA M? It's not the same thing. This is a proper, raw, super GT. And it's part Ferrari, just draped in beautiful Alfa body. And because of the way the world is moving and the fact that Alfa are now part of the Stellantis group, any big sort of super GT we see from them, it's going to be electric. We just have to accept that. It's not going to sound like this thing. And you know what? I think another reason why I love this particular shape so much, I just realised it's basically an Italian Aston Martin Vantage. The proportions are very similar. It's kind of short and stubby and just mega. And you know what? These gearboxes, I used to slate them all the time. Oh, gearbox is kind of clunky and weird, but it's totally fine. Once you know what you're getting into and you drive around it, okay, fine. Maybe once we get down into town near the coffee shop, it's going to be a bit clunky, but out here, it's lovely. It's lovely, and it suits the period of the car, a period which I just adore. The modern classics, the noughties, it's the era that I grew up in. It's the era that I really fell in love with road cars in, so of course, naturally, all the sort of peak supercars from that time are the ones that I want the most. And this one has just, forever held such a soft spot in my heart. And the thing is, I kind of have to realise that it's very unlikely I'm ever going to be in a position to buy one of these cars. They've become so expensive, so expensive, and very hard to actually find. It's not like tons come to the market, especially the coupes, which is maybe why it's taken me so long to get the chance to get behind the wheel of one. Once again, huge shout out, Drive Vintage, you are legends. And it's comfortable. I was expecting, based on sort of prior reviews, the ride to be a little bit firm, but it's not at all. It's a great, comfy cruiser from what I'm experiencing. And hey, look, I haven't really thrashed the throttle too much yet, but it's manageable power. It's that lovely sweet spot of 450 horsepower, sub 500 horsepower. The world's gone insane now. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of an 812 superfast, but who needs that much power? No one! This is just such a nice amount. We are now descending off this hill or mountain or whatever we're going to call it, and we are in Switzerland, so I'm going to have to behave slightly, because if you don't know, the Swiss aren't huge fans of noise and supercars and things like that, but it gives me a chance to get a glimpse into what living with this car would be like, what taking it to get a coffee would be like. I think potentially the best experience ever. Oh, I want it, I need it, I don't know how I would ever be able to get one, but someday, somehow, surely, I can spend some more time, maybe even own an Alfa 8C, who knows. Anyway, usually I'd get a coffee to perk me up. I feel like today it's gonna bring me down, and maybe I need that. Because yeah, blood pressure's pretty high at the moment, with excitement, not with stress, with excitement. Aha! First real world test then for this car. Don't think it's got any cup holders. So yeah, taking it to get a coffee maybe wasn't the best idea, or maybe it was, because it's real life consumer advice. Let's put this somewhere just while I put my seatbelt on. Actually, that's all right, that can hold. I don't know what that was supposed to be in there. I'm going to be following these guys now back out of town. Let me think, what am I doing? Start, stop. Okay, park brake off. Auto is fine, first gear. Let's get the coffee so it doesn't go everywhere. Can I make it out? Yes. Oh, like a pro. Okay, so now I'm in town and with my coffee, which by the way I got from Cafe Ex Machina, or Ex Machina, whatever you want to call it. We're in Neon, by the way, about 20 minutes outside Geneva. Super, super nice place. I couldn't really film that much because we were parked illegally and I was rushing, but yeah, super good. But now that I've got my coffee and we're in town, I can talk about some of the maybe negative points or the harsh realities of life with, or potential life with an 8C. Steering is quite heavy. Definitely sort of heavier, for example, than a 599 Ferrari, or maybe even a Maserati GT. It's nice, and it was nice up on the twisties, but in town feels a little cumbersome. And of course, now that we're just in auto mode and driving around in town, the single clutch box is sort of showing up its weaknesses, but that's all right. I mean, you expect it if you're buying a car from this era. What I love is that the sound has gone nowhere, and oh god, this is not turning out that great because I seem to be blocking most of the street. But we're okay, we're okay. I think I'm doing it elegantly and in style in my 8C. Not mine, Sam, remember, not mine. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm still going, why are people so horrible about this car? Oh, it's not very good to drive. Okay, fine, maybe dynamically against some of its competitors, it's not as sharp. You couldn't attack a racetrack in it, but as a car just to bumble around in, super, super nice. And I'm trying to think, what are the competitors? It's way better than a Maserati GT. How does it rate against a 599 Ferrari? I've never been a big 599 fan. I would have this over a 599. Is it better? Probably not, but you know me, I don't really care if cars are better or worse than each other. It's how they make you feel, and hopefully you're getting just how special this car makes me feel. Ooh, nice Ferrari edition Abarth. Lovely. But yeah, look, full auto mode, holding my coffee, cruising through town, making some noise. Life is good in an 8C, people. Oh, good coffee. Oh, very good coffee.